This movie called Law Abiding Citizen. Called Law Abiding Citizen. And so the law says a person's crime is illegal. No persons but the murdered is allowed to determine the outcome of the system. What the law says. No person, no cop, no judge, chief justice, no one. No one in the whole country is allowed to, that's what the U.S. code says. No king, no queen, no Indian, and tribes actually show up for it. Believe it or not. No persons in the whole country is allowed to determine the outcome of the death, except the plaintiff. In any fashion. So the law has a systematic, and it has its own understanding of the systematic. So in the Law Abiding Citizen movie, this guy, someone who's special ops for the United States of America, the military, he was special ops by intellect. So they're like tier 2. So there's tier 1, the jarhead. Tier 2 is by intellect and whatnot. Physically. Intellectual means educated. You know the definitions of all the words. You could look at something computerized and you could read the book to build the computer itself. You can transfer your knowledge of book knowledge to educate yourself in being a computer's master and build computers and write codes and whatnot. So they're only tier 2. In America, they're only tier 2. Literally, just say no. Pay scale, top secret clearance, who they could murder, who they're allowed to cite to murder, all that stuff. They're only tier 2. So, yeah. The law says the assassin is the third person. So as far as education goes, I own the civil case, so I know this shit. So the assassin, people guilty of assassination and murder while the civil case is going on, is the third person, the person that would try to step into the argument and have a say in it. So yeah, those people are educated. So The so in the law-abiding citizen, that someone breaks into his home, he's a tier 2 government assassin on top of it all. They rape his wife, rape his daughter, kill his wife, kill his daughter. They stab him. He goes to the law. He's wealthy. He's a tier 2 assassin. So he has like patents, and he has his own thoughts. And mind you, the CIA's child gets kidnapped or killed. Not CIA's, yeah, their child did also, but the NSA's child. So they're like, NSA is like 2.5, borderline 3. Stern argument, and I want a tier raise for money. Yeah, for money, nothing else. So so they prosecute the criminal, the murderer that raped and murdered. He let the prosecution believe, whether by leading of their own or by greed, concepts, the law says. DA is designed about concepts. The concept of theory, the concept of greed, the concept of wealth, and whatnot. That's why people in a civil case can't be prosecuted. The law says it, because the district attorney is led by concept. It's not a concept. That guy is wealthy. He owns the civil case. We owe him. There is no concept that's going to cancel out the fact that I'm the first person abusing. So in the prosecution, they let the murderer and the rapist be prosecuted for a lower punishment. And the guy's a witness, and he's telling them the whole time, that's not the proper guy. You guys are going after the death penalty for the wrong person. I'm a witness. I'm telling you, that was my wife, my child. Oh, you don't know law. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And he's like, what about me? I could take the stand. We could do all this. And that's what the law says. And so they go through with the prosecution. Who actually raped and murdered his wife, they let out after like 10 years. Probably got fucking kilo of coke, 58 whores, partying up. Systematic payment. And that's what the law calls it. The country system, law goodness, paid him the coke, paid him the women. And so he fucking liquidates all his shit, sells all his patents. He opens up a theme shop. He already has military connections to kill people. He's already been doing it. So the law actually has a structure like that. The system itself. And it's actually called like law-abiding citizen. The definition is you can't arrest a guy for nothing. He abides by the law. And it's a criminal act to attempt to. So he blotches the death penalty to be a heinous murder, which is the law. The law physically says that they're prosecuting the wrong person for the death penalty, to blocks the death penalty as the owner of the civil case. It physically says this. It physically says down to the death of the head district attorney in the state is death. Murdering the head district attorney. Physically it says this. The law says the force of body control. There's no such thing as body control, but you'll hear cops saying, oh, I have possession of this, I have possession of that, and then the immediate death of the head district attorney. This is what the... So he didn't do that, though. He has no ownership, he's victim. So So he designs it to where it leads a trail to him. And they catch him, they arrest him. In the bail hearing, the law actually says it's illegal to arrest and then hold a bail hearing. It's a bail hearing with the person present, or the dispute of the person's being allowed to place present the person. The law says that all bail is to be honored if the argument isn't there by the force of the argument itself. So it goes on and says bail is mandatory if there's no risk involved. No risk for the judge, not anyone else. Yeah. So the law says a judge by law, if a judge can't place himself in harm's way in the discussion or the theory on how a discussion would come, they have to grant bail immediately. I'm an individual. The law says you're to persuade the judge's thoughts with the fact of the truth of the law. The law is for all individuals. So the law says just saying I'm an individual, and the law itself is individuality. The law physically says by the force itself they have to grant bail again. Because the judge mentally can't place himself at harm's way because he's an individual, and you're saying you're an individual already. Yeah, so when they pop up, I'm like, why are you here? Are you committing suicide? Has life became too much for you? Is this the final moments? Because I won, all that's there. The DA's a criminal. There's supposed to be something else there. Because the district attorney, it's in God we trust. It means I will do things ungodly. And I'll tell you, so what? I'm free. And so the DA actually commits a crime on that. So the law says within a civil path, right, you could just exempt bail discussion and instantly be released. Through the pattern and the financial stalking again. Excuse me, sir. Can you spare a cigarette?
I don't smoke cigarettes. I had a call.
Thank you. Excuse me, sir. Can you spare a cigarette?
Thank you.
So, under the prior bonds, within the lifetime of the judge's seat, a civil matter, the docketing, or the political output of a judge, you could force bail also. So anyways, he stands up and he tells the judge that he's no threat. He supports it with threat. The law says in a bail discussion, any mention of any common law is a threat by people. I won't deliver a threat. You don't perceive a threat, but the people will kill you. And I will persuade them to do that. It physically says it. So I just tell them that. I'll fucking persuade the people to tell you. I'll persuade the people to kill you. That way I'll never tell them it in court, which the law says to do. So mind you, he witnessed his child and his wife die. So the judge goes to grant the bail after the threat, and he flips out. So the law says that's actually a legal statement. That itself is legal. It is a legal format of lively behavior that's unprosecutable. So what he did is actually how I walk is just like walking, the law calls it in court. It is itself a specific pattern the law recognizes and teaches to attorneys. The judge was agreeing to like battery, which is robbery, extortion, coercion, by accepting the common law case. The law says the judges don't have to mention the common law case and can bring up prosecution during trial about it. But they're ignorant criminals, so they don't speak during trial and they don't have a dialogue with the plaintiffs and whatnot. So anyways, the movie goes on with legal scenarios where the guy, he goes off and murders someone, and they ask him for a confession. He said, yeah, I thought about it. Yeah, I plotted it out in my mind over and over. Yeah, I committed that act. I committed that act in Tennessee, and there is no person there. That's like the extent the law has. Did you shoot this guy in the head? Was that act committed? And they happened in North Carolina. And the law says the extent of the confession is, yeah, I shot that guy in the head. I committed that act in Tennessee. And then there's no body in Tennessee. So the law says it's not a confession.